In Your House Mind Games, the 10th In Your House event, took place on the 22nd of September 1996 in the Core States Arena in Philadelphia. 13,000 fans attended the show, with around 120,000 fans banging the show at home. Not a great number, but still up from the last In Your House event, International Incident. Our show's headline tonight with a WWF Championship match, Shawn Michaels defending against Mankind. And in the semi-main spot, we've got Goldust versus The Undertaker. On the free-for-all show, Savio Vega defeated Marty Jannetty, but Justin Hawk Bradshaw then attacked Vega. The two agreed to have a Caribbean strap match, or a Caribbean strap match afterwards, and that match kicks off In Your House Mind Games. Let's take a look. This match here serves as Bradshaw's WWF pay-per-view debut, and he comes to the ring with Uncle Zebekiah. Savio's well versed in strap matches, but he also just wrestled a singles match on the pre-show, so Bradshaw has a chance tonight at Mind Games. Savio rushes to the ring and he gets whipped badly as the referee, handsome Harvey Whippleman, tries and fails to gain control. Justin Hawk Bradshaw whips Savio across the back, and Vega gets wrecked before Harvey gets the strap around his wrist. As soon as Savio gets tied up, Bradshaw tries to touch all four turnbuckles. Savio manages to stop Bradshaw and the match goes to the outside. We can see Paul Heyman, Sandman and Tommy Dreamer sitting at ringside, and the Philadelphia crowd chant ECW as Savio gets choked at the ring post. Savio turns it around by pulling the strap and Bradshaw whacks the ring post. Sandman then spits beer in Vega's face and Paul Heyman has to calm the Sandman down. This cross promotion was all planned and you know that already. Bradshaw does a little damage on the outside and officials come down to get control of the ECW guys. Inside the ring, Bradshaw grabs a headlock and he tries to touch the corners, but Savio stops him with a back suplex and the crowd don't care at all. They're too busy watching the ECW guys get escorted out of the arena. Savio then starts whipping Bradshaw over and over again. He even whips him across the face. Savio thinks he's done enough damage. He touches 3 turnbuckles, but Bradshaw pulls him back and we're now back to square one. Savio hits a few clotheslines and a spinning heel kick. Savio tries once again to win the match. He gets the 3 again and he gets pulled away with a lot of force before touching the 4th corner. Savio takes a big boot and a big clothesline. Bradshaw now thinks he's got it in the bag. He touches 1 corner, but Savio touches it 2 immediately afterwards. The same happens with turnbuckles 2 and 3. Bradshaw's inches away from touching corner 4, but Savio stops him and a tug of war breaks out. Savio then eases up and Bradshaw flings Vega into turnbuckle 4. Savio Vega wins the match. A short yet physical matchup, and I thought the finish was pretty original, so not a bad opener. Jim Cornette versus José Lothario's up next. HBK's been feuding with the British Bulldog and Vader during 1996. These men were managed by Jim Cornette, while José Lothario's been bringing HBK to the ring ever since WrestleMania 12. So it's a battle of the managers here at Mind Games. As Cornette makes his way down to the ring, McMahon says something's going on backstage. We cut away and we see Razor Ramon and Diesel attacking Savio Vega. Jim Ross promised to bring Diesel and Razor to Monday Night Raw the night after Mind Games, and it looks like he wasn't joking. By the looks of things, Razor and Diesel are back in the World Wrestling Federation. Jim Cornette says José Lothario's a legend. He taught HBK everything he knows, but José's also an old broken down man. He's 150 years old for fuck's sake, so Cornette gives José an out. He can forfeit the match and he doesn't need to come down to the ring. Shawn Michaels music plays in the arena and here comes the Heartbreak Kid, José Lothario. Cornette throws the first punch, but José ducks it and Jim gets stacked. Ross confirms that José's 62 years old here as Cornette runs the ropes and he takes another right hand. Jim begs in the corner for some mercy, but he gets gently slammed on the mat and he then gets his head rammed into the top turnbuckle a few times. Jim then takes a right to the jaw, Super Sock then hits Jim with a left uppercut, and that's it all over. José Lothario defeats Jim Cornette. Probably the worst WWF match of 1996, but you're not expecting Savage vs Steamboat either. Still though, the time could have been spent on something else. Brian Pillman and Owen Hart promised that Bret Hart would appear at Mind Games. The Hitman hadn't appeared in a WWF ring since WrestleMania 12, and Bret sent in a video from the WWF South African tour saying that Brian Pillman's a liar and Owen's just the same. Bret won't be in Philadelphia and he won't be at the pay-per-view. Pillman gets in the ring and he rips into the audience before inviting Owen Hart to the ring, and Owen says he thought everything between Bret and himself had been patched up and Bret had finally accepted that Owen was the better Hart brother. The Hitman's getting getting old, he's getting slow, he's not the technical wrestler he once was, but Bret calling both Owen and Pillman a pair of liars was totally uncalled for. Owen then thinks that Bret's maybe afraid, not of Brian Pillman, not of Owen himself, although Bret is a little scared of the King of Hearts. No, Bret's afraid of the 1996 King of the Ring winner, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin comes to the ring and Stone Cold says he knew Bret wasn't going to show up. As soon as Steve Austin appeared in the World Wrestling Federation, Bret Hart ran away. And Austin gives his classic line, "If you put the letter S in front of Hitman, you've got my exact opinion of Bret Hart." Steve says if Bret ever comes back, he's going to have to get in the ring with Stone Cold and somebody's going to get their ass whipped. Austin 316 says it's going to be Bret's ass, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. Brian Pillman closes the interview by saying Philadelphia sucks. Owen Hart comes back out alongside Davey Boy Smith. These two are getting a tag team title shot tonight against Billy and Bart Gunn. The Smoking Guns have been having some issues lately thanks to Billy Gunn getting a little too close to manager Sonny. Owen and Davey ruin Sonny's giant poster and Sonny's all pissed off, so she gets comforted by Billy Gunn while Owen and Davey laugh their asses off. Clarence Mason comes down after the opening bell. Remember, Owen and Davey are a part of Camp Cornette, so the commentators guess that Clarence is filling in for James E. Owen pulls off a hip toss followed by an arm drag and a crossbody. Billy Gunn wants a timeout after getting his ass kicked here. The two go at it again when the match resumes and Billy almost gets caught out with a small package, but he kicks out and he gets a chance to tag in Bart. Owen tags in Davey. The Bulldog goes down after a shoulder block, but he manages to counter a knee to the midsection with a pin attempt, but the match continues on. Bulldog lands a dropkick and an arm drag before tagging Owen back in, and Owen gets vicious with a chop block to Bart, and Owen's now going to work over the leg. It should be noted here too that fans are cheering for Owen and Davey. Bulldog's back in now and he too focuses on the left leg and knee. The quick tags continue while Bart finds himself in the wrong corner. And even as Owen and Davey partake in classic heel tag team shenanigans, the crowd continue to support them. Owen applies a Boston Crab, but Bart makes it to the ropes. We then see the vertical suplex from Davey and he showboats afterwards because he's the fucking man. Billy Gunn breaks up the follow-up cover and Owen comes in illegally. Kyoto lets the King of Hearts stay in the ring. Bart takes the enziguri, Billy again breaks the cover. Davey's back in now and the Smoking Guns finally get a chance to go on offense when Billy rakes Davey's face from the apron. Bulldog gets sent into the ring steps before Billy tags in. Billy jumps on Bart's back for a big jumping clothesline in the corner. The Smoking Guns then pull off their Sidewinder finisher, but Clarence Mason provides a distraction and Owen breaks the cover with a diving forearm. Billy tries to cover Bulldog again and Bulldog's had enough time to recover and kick out. Bart comes in and he repeatedly drives his knee into Davey's chest and shoulder. Quick tags keep the Smoking Guns in control and all Owen can do is stand and watch, but Bart Gunn makes the mistake of trying to put Davey away with the Bulldog's own finishing move, and that's a step too far, Barty boy, fucking watch it. Davey shoves Bart into Billy while Billy was too busy chatting to Sonny. Billy shoves Bart right into Davey and the Bulldog wins it with his running power slam. Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith are the new WWF Tag Team Champions. Sonny, once again, is absolutely livid. She's having a horrible night, so she grabs a microphone and she fires Billy and Bart. She says she gave up everything to manage these two bozos, but the Smoking Guns are nothing but no good cowboy wannabes. So Billy and Bart just lost the tag team titles and their manager. A decent tag team match though at Mind Games, this one's worth watching. Kevin Kelly interviews Mankind in the Boiler Room and Paul Bearer says Mankind's gonna win the WWF Championship tonight and Mankind says he's living right now to make Shawn Michaels miserable. He wants HBK's fans to feel the pain that he's felt his whole life. It's Mankind's destiny to hear Shawn's gurgled screams, to hear his liver rupture. It's Mankind's destiny to cuddle the World Wrestling Federation Championship belt. And after all's said and done, everyone can have a nice day. Up next we have Jerry Lawler versus Mark Henry, Mark's very first match in the World Wrestling Federation. Mark got involved in the King's match against Jake Roberts at SummerSlam. Lawler then made fun of Henry on Raw when Mark said he wasn't quite where he needed to be yet in terms of his wrestling abilities. Jerry couldn't let it go, so Mark said he'd fight the King at Mind Games and teach him a lesson, even if he felt he needed a bit more training. On Superstars, the morning of Mind Games, Lawler threw coffee on Mark and Lawler also smacked Henry across the face during the free-for-all. The King's just poking the bear at this point. Jerry says Henry's going to get the wrestling lesson of his life before the world's strongest man makes his way to the ring, and the King keeps talking shit when Mark gets inside the ropes. Jerry tells Mark that he's going to start with a basic headlock that Mark won't be able to get out of. The King then locks it in after a bit of stalling, and Mark gets out easily enough with a hammerlock counter, and the King gets thrown to the mat. Mark then applies a headlock of his own. The King also counters with a hammerlock, and he laughs at Mark, but Henry manages to get out, and again the King gets shoved away. Fuck, this isn't great, is it? There's another lockup. Lawler fields the body slam Mark, and the King gets lifted up for a press slam, and it isn't great. The King's bump looked a little awkward. Jerry tries to knock Henry down with shoulder blocks, but that doesn't work. Henry then uses Jerry's own momentum to throw him through the middle ropes, and Jerry resorts to fighting dirty when the match resumes. He uses some sort of weapon, and Mark takes a few shots before the King stashes it away in his tights. It was probably nothing at all. Henry shakes off the pain, and Lawler takes a few knees to the midsection. Lawler takes a few whacks to the head. Mark then applies a backbreaker submission, and Lawler gives it up. Mark Henry wins his debut match. After the bout, Marty Jannetty, Leif Cassidy, and Triple H all try to attack Mark, but Mark has no issues fighting them all off. It ends with Hunter getting dumped over the top rope, and he lands on the new rockers. Absolute shit. Mark would get sent away for some further training, and I think even Mark would say it was the best thing he could have done at this point. The next match is the final curtain match between Goldust and The Undertaker. There must be a winner, and it must be via pinfall. These two have had a few matches in the past. At Beware of Dog 2, Goldust defeated The Undertaker in a casket match thanks to Mankind, and at International Incident, Undertaker defeated Goldust via disqualification, again when Mankind got involved. Taker tried to get some revenge by fighting Mankind in the SummerSlam Boiler Room Brawl, but that match ended when Paul Bearer turned his back on The Undertaker to join forces with Foley. So The Undertaker's wrestling Goldust tonight is a way to deal with some unfinished business. Taker will get his hands on Mankind, and that'll happen soon enough. Undertaker looks all fired up as he stands on the apron and he makes the arena lights come on. Immediately, he throws a hard right hand, no fucking around tonight, and the bizarre one gets sent from pillar to post before getting choked out by the dead man. Can I also point out how bad this Goldust attire is? I don't know, I'm just not feeling it. Goldust rolls out of the ring and Marlena looks at him as if to say, well, that didn't go too well, did it? Marlena then takes matters into her own hands and she slaps the Undertaker, but it has zero effect. It just makes the Phenom angry. Taker stays on offense, and even after taking a swinging neck breaker, he just sits up and he floors Goldust with an uppercut. The Phenom hits Goldust with a big boot, and this gets followed up with a suplex. The Undertaker's way more aggressive than usual tonight. A big hip toss sends Goldust across the ring, and the Phenom has to stop Goldust from leaving the ring. The dead man then walks the top rope and we see old school, and Undertaker then lets Goldust leave when he throws him over the top rope. Marlena passes Goldust a pouch that we assume's filled to the brim with competitive juices. The Undertaker scares the shit out of Marlena by lifting her up on the apron, but this gives Goldust a chance to throw Goldust in Taker's eyes. That must be some special fucking glitter, because the Undertaker's temporarily blinded and Goldust capitalizes by choking the Undertaker at the ropes. The match goes to the outside where Goldust pushes the Undertaker's head into the steel steps. Goldust gets in the ring, and for some reason referee Tim White begins a 10 count. It was specifically stated at the start of the match that this final curtain bout could only end in pinfall. When the match gets back inside the ring, the Undertaker manages to hold onto the ropes after an Irish whip, but he's still blinded. Goldust performs a clothesline and he punishes Taker in the corner. He chokes the dead man twice, and both times Tim White begins a 5 count, threatening to disqualify Goldust if he doesn't stop, for fuck's sake. Taker gets out of a headlock with a back suplex, but he still doesn't have full vision, and Goldust makes it worse by poking him in the eye. The fans chant rest in peace as Goldust performs a hip toss, and Goldust then applies a claw. Taker gets out with a right hand, but Goldust remains in control, and the Phenom takes a few rights in the corner before getting sent to the opposite side of the ring. Goldust makes the mistake of posing in the ring and celebrating early. The dead man wakes up and he throws Goldust into the corner for a ton of body shots. The two competitors then have the same idea, and neither man goes down when they try back elbows, but Goldust is first to recover and we see a power slam. Taker, however, sits right back up and he performs the big jumping clothesline. Goldust tries to retaliate with a top rope move, but Taker grabs the bizarre one and we see a super choke slam. This is the end of our match, Goldust gets planted with a tombstone piledriver, and The Undertaker defeats Goldust at In Your House 10. Taker's lost Paul Bearer, he lost the urn, he's had his hands full with Mankind, and it's already confirmed that Taker's gonna face Foley next month in a Buried Alive match. But one thing never changes when it comes to the Phenom, and that's how loyal his fans were and still are to this very day. Because Mankind had gotten the better of The Undertaker, and because Mankind's been on quite a roll recently, he was granted a WWF Championship match against Shawn Michaels. HBK's put on some great performances throughout his title run, but many consider this next main event as the pinnacle, the best HBK title defense of 1996, and some would also call it the WWF's match of the year. HBK's gonna have to approach this one different, and that's exactly why this match happened. Shawn wrote in his book that the HBK character needed to get a bit more aggressive around this time period, and he said it wasn't a typical Shawn Michaels match, yet it's still one of his favourites. And Mick Foley wrote in his book that this match is on the shortlist of the best 3 things Foley's ever done in professional wrestling. Before the bout, Kevin Kelly interviews Michaels, and Shawn says throughout all his title defenses so far, he's never been nervous because he feels like he can out-wrestle anyone in the World Wrestling Federation. Tonight though, things are different. Shawn's fighting the wackiest cat in the company, and he's not sure how Mankind's gonna approach this match. So Shawn's a little jittery and a little nervous, and it's got nothing to do with what's in his fanny pack. Mankind and Paul Bearer have been playing mind games, and Shawn says if he had a mind to begin with, they'd probably have gotten the best of Shawn already. There's not a whole lot upstairs when it comes to HBK, his words, not mine. Shawn says he has no idea how he's going to deal with Mankind tonight, but the plan's to just go out there and think on the job. The mind games begin when a bunch of druids bring a casket down to the ring. Paul Bearer slowly follows, the casket opens up, and there's Mankind. The commentators say you can feel it in the air, this one's going to be dangerous and there's going to be injuries after this WWF title match. Mankind grips the urn close and he rocks back and forth while fans await HBK's entrance. Shawn's music plays in the arena and the crowd goes nuts. Shawn looks fired up tonight as he gets in the ring and his pyro goes off. He then looks at Mankind nervously as he removes the championship belt from his waist. And here we go, the Mind Games main event. The match starts with Mankind hitting a back elbow immediately and he kicks Shawn in the head. Shawn then gets punched in the throat and the champion takes a back body drop. Mankind then clotheslines HBK over the top rope, and yeah, they've started off in high gear tonight. Mankind pulls up the protective mats, but Shawn dropkicks Foley and the champ takes advantage. Michaels then performs a crossbody, and the back of Mankind's head hits the concrete floor when Michaels dives on Mick from the ring steps. Back in the ring, Shawn performs a double axe handle, he ducks a Mankind clothesline and he lays in a few rights and lefts before flooring the challenger with a clothesline. We then see a body slam from Michaels and Shawn then lands his signature elbow drop and Mankind's in trouble. Shawn says fuck it, that's it over, he warms up the band, but Mankind's smart enough to run out of the ring and he gets a little comfort from Paul Bearer and the urn. When Foley gets back in the ring, he and Michaels lay in some stiff shots in the corner and Mankind manages to throw Shawn to the opposite corner. HBK sets himself up for a middle rope crossbody, but Mankind isn't there to take the bump. This was all planned, by the way. Foley confirmed they wanted to try and recreate HBK getting angry with Vader at SummerSlam, so Shawn runs back to Foley all pissed off and the hard shots continue in the corner. It gets so heated that the two end up on the mat where more punches get thrown. The two get up and Michaels goes for a snapmare, but Foley grabs onto Shawn and the two hit the mat. Foley tries to apply the mandible claw and Michaels desperately throws back elbows to get out of the hold. More hard shots from Shawn follows as Mr. Perfect on commentary says Mankind has HBK rattled here. Mrs. Foley's baby boy then gives Shawn a little payback with a forearm shot and HBK gets tossed out of the ring where Mankind plans on rattling Shawn even more. Foley moves the Spanish announce desk, but Shawn jumps over it and Mankind gets wiped out. HBK then performs a suplex and Foley's leg smacks the steel steps, and this gives Shawn a big old target when Foley tries to get back in the ring. HBK uses the casket to do more damage to Foley's knee, and when Earl Hebner tries to stop Michaels from doing any further damage, the Heartbreak Kid pie faces the referee. The commentators talk about how Shawn's losing his cool the longer this match goes on. Shawn performs a dragon screw before applying the figure 4. Foley manages to get out, but he takes a drop kick right to the knee afterwards, and Jim Ross says that Michaels is trying to break Foley's leg as the targeted attack continues. HBK applies a single leg crab and Mankind makes it to the ropes. An uppercut forces Shawn to back off and he ends up taking an alley-oop across the top rope. Mankind then sits on the apron and he drills an object into his leg over and over again to get the feeling back. Jim Ross thinks this was a pen or a pencil. Mankind then chokes Shawn at the ropes and he smacks Shawn's head on the casket. Shawn falls out of the ring and Foley uses this time to try once again to get the feeling back in his leg. Shawn gets back in and he takes Mankind's signature running knee attack. Mankind bites his opponent, he slams Shawn's head to the mat, and again out of sheer desperation, Michaels performs a back suplex and the two lay on the mat. So far, this has been very physical. The two get back up and there's nothing to do but throw more punches and land more kicks. Mankind stuns Michaels, but Shawn manages to trip Foley up. HBK throws more right hands, but Michaels ends up flipping on the top turnbuckles and he finds himself in the Tree of Woe. Mankind drops 2 elbows on the champion, and Mankind then kicks Shawn so hard that HBK tumbles out of the ring. Both guys look absolutely spent at this point, but they're gonna keep going. HBK dodges a charge attack at the ring steps and he performs a drop toe hold. He then tries to suplex Mankind back in the ring, but he can't do it. Both guys end up standing on the apron and Mankind throws himself into the ring post, and Jim Ross says this could be a turning point. Shawn performs a jumping back elbow and Foley gets power slammed. Michaels then throws Foley into the ropes and Mankind gets the ropes wrapped around his neck. This makes the crowd pop and Michaels tries to take advantage, but Mankind performs the mandible claw in what ends up being one of the best moments of the match. Shawn frees Mankind and this frees him from the mandible claw also. On the outside, HBK takes Mankind's finisher again, but he counters by throwing Foley into the guardrails. Shawn grabs a chair and Foley accidentally punches it, giving Shawn a chance to hit Foley on the leg and on the hand. Michaels then bites Foley's hand in the ring as he tries to neutralize the mandible claw, and Michaels is now on a mission to break Foley's hand. Mankind crumbles to the mat after taking way too much punishment, but Shawn isn't through yet. He starts stomping on Mankind's hand and fingers, and it gets so bad that Earl Hebner has to stop Shawn. But this gives Mankind just enough time to launch Michaels to the outside, and holy shit, what a main event. Foley performs his elbow drop from the apron to the outside. He gets back in the ring and he realizes he can't win the belt on a countout, so he rushes back out to perform a swinging neckbreaker. Back inside the ring, we see the double arm DDT. Mankind covers Shawn and Shawn kicks out. Foley then performs a pile driver. Shawn kicks out again and again and again. Foley gets so frustrated he begins pulling his own hair out and he slams his head on the mat, and he then decides to throw a few chairs in the ring before telling Paul Bearer to open the casket. Shawn gets dropped inside, but he fights back and he gets a second wind. He performs a lightning fast flying forearm. He then body slams Foley again. A diving crossbody fails to put Foley away, and when Shawn goes up for another high risk move, Mankind throws himself into the ropes. With HBK's little degenerate in pieces, Foley climbs the ropes too, planning a back suplex to the outside. But Shawn counters in mid-air and both men crash through the Spanish announce table. Another fantastic spot. They waste no time in getting back in the ring. Shawn sets up a chair and Mankind carries a chair as he heads upstairs. HBK knocks Mankind out with a flying kick, and just when Michaels was about to win the match, Vader shows up. It's a DQ finish. Shawn takes care of Vader, but he doesn't notice Paul Bearer standing behind him. Shawn gets knocked out when Paul uses the urn, and when Vader tries to interfere again, Psycho Sid shows up and those two disappear back up the entranceway. Paul uses the urn to wake up Mankind and Shawn takes the mandible claw. Mankind then tells Paul to open up that casket again, but this time the Undertaker's in there and this reveal makes the crowd go insane. Undertaker shoves Mankind out of the ring and that's how it ends. The ending, admittedly, is a little busy, but man, the match itself totally makes up for it. This was an absolute showcase match. Mankind looked great and not once did he let up even though both guys looked exhausted. HBK got a chance to get way more physical, and for a while the whole pretty boy white meat babyface thing was thrown out the window. And there's a really great story in this match about overcoming unpredictability and walking into the unknown. As the character evolved throughout 1997 and 1998, these kind of Mankind matches would become a thing of the past, and this kind of story did become harder to tell when using the character, but this one one definitely ranks up there as an all-time great Mick Foley match, and HBK looked great too. Brilliant stuff. In Your House Mind Games was good. It's one of the better In Your House events, and it's one of the best pay-per-views of 1996. The opener was decent, the tag team match was good, Goldust vs Undertaker I felt was decent too, and the main event simply is a must-see wrestling match. You can give the Cornette and Mark Henry matches a miss, but there's more good than bad at this event, so it's definitely worth a watch. Hunt this one down, enjoy it, and give the main event all your attention because trust me, it's worth it. Thanks for watching another Reliving the War pay-per-view review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll hopefully see you soon for the next one.
I know I'm sexy. I've got the looks.